Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chrisley Knows Best Todd Chrisley reveals most important prayer he prayed. Today and Julie Chrisley were sentenced to a combined 19 years in prison in 2022. The couple was found guilty on federal charges of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, wire fraud, and tax evasion. Todd recently opened up about his most important prayer during his imprisonment. Keep reading to find out more. Todd and Julie Chrisley reported to their respective facilities in January 2023 to serve out their sentence for fraud and tax evasion. Despite their imprisonment, the couple's daughter, Savannah, lobbied tirelessly to get her parents released from prison. In an unprecedented turn of events, Todd and Julie were issued a presidential pardon in May, after serving only 2.5 years of their sentences. In addition, they were freed from prison one day after their pardon, coming home on May 28, 2025. Todd and Julie Chrisley have officially restarted their podcast, Chrisley Confessions 2.0. The couple is back behind the mic 2 months after their release from prison. On their podcast, they discuss their experiences over the last several years. During a recent episode, Todd disclosed what he prayed for while he was in prison. Todd told his wife Julie, "My prayer with God every day, every night, and all through the day was if he would just get you home. If he could just get you home with our kids, then I could do the rest of what I have to do. Because I would have that level of peace, knowing that you were back in charge. That you were taking care of the things that I knew you would take care of." On their podcast, Chrisley Confessions 2.0, Todd Chrisley told his wife Julie that he prayed daily for her release. He wanted his wife to be able to go home and take care of their children and their home life. In addition, Todd shared how surreal it was for him and Julie to be released from prison on the same day. Julie said she felt similarly. She opened up and said, "I still have those moments. I'm not going to lie. I still have those moments when I'm like, did this really happen? You know, I'm like, that chapter is behind us, completely behind us. And I have to pinch myself sometimes because I'm like, this can't be. I can't believe this has actually happened." Todd Chrisley echoed his wife's sentiments. In addition, he shared that he has been talking with friends about how strange it is to be home from prison. However, Chrisley attributed their good fortune to God. He said he felt the moments of surrealism were God winks. Todd went on to explain, "There is so much power in prayer. But the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me is physically witnessing things that I prayed for actually occurring." Todd and Julie Chrisley attribute their good fortune to God. To find out more about the Chrisleys' life in prison and what they are up to now, check out their podcast, Chrisley Confessions 2.0. The lights in the Chrisley home have always shone bright, whether on camera or off. But for Todd Chrisley, the once flamboyant patriarch of Chrisley Knows Best, the most meaningful moments of his life didn't unfold beneath the glitz of reality TV. They came in the quiet, raw stillness of a prison cell. Since his release earlier this year, Todd has been slowly stepping back into the public eye with a new tone, humble, thoughtful, and deeply spiritual. And in a recent heartfelt interview on his daughter Savannah's podcast, Unlocked, Todd opened up like never before, revealing the most important prayer he ever prayed. "It wasn't when I asked for fame," Todd said, voice thick with emotion. "It wasn't when I asked God to bless our show, or even when we were on top of the world. It was when I was at the bottom, broken, ashamed, and alone." According to Todd, the moment happened during his third night at Federal Prison Camp Pensacola. He had been stripped of his designer suits, his curated persona, and the lavish lifestyle that once defined him. "It was lights out," he recalled, "but my mind was wide awake. I wasn't the Todd people knew. I was just a man trying to make sense of how everything had fallen apart. That night, Todd knelt beside his narrow cot and whispered a prayer he says changed his life. God, don't save me from this. Just don't leave me in it. That single line stunned fans when it aired on the podcast. For a man known for his polished, southern charm and sharp wit, it revealed a depth few had seen. I wasn't praying to get out, Todd explained. I was praying to get through it, with God beside me, no matter how dark it got. Faith reborn behind bars. Todd's time in prison wasn't glamorous. There were no special privileges, no cameras, no makeup crews. But what there was, Todd said, was transformation. I had to face everything I had ignored, he admitted. I spent my whole life chasing approval, money, fame, control. But I had never really let go and asked God what he wanted from me. Todd spent his days in quiet routine, reading, journaling, and diving into scripture. I read the Bible more times than I can count, he said. And I didn't read it for show. I read it because I needed it. He also found an unexpected source of strength in the prison chapel. Every Sunday, I sat shoulder to shoulder with men I might never have spoken to in my old life. And we prayed, not for freedom, but for peace, for strength, for grace. He described one particular inmate, a former gang member named Marcus, who became his unlikely spiritual mentor. Marcus didn't care who I was on TV. He cared who I was in the eyes of God. He challenged me, pushed me, prayed with me. He reminded me that even behind bars, we are free if our hearts are right. The power of letting go. Todd confessed that the hardest part of his sentence wasn't the confinement, it was the reckoning. I had to admit I wasn't in control, that I had hurt people, that I had let pride and ego lead me. He paused before continuing, but that prayer, that night, I go back to it all the time. God, don't save me from this. Just don't leave me in it. It was my surrender. It was me finally letting go. Now free from prison, but forever changed by it, Todd is choosing a different path. He no longer obsesses over ratings or red carpets. Instead, he's focused on healing his family, repairing his soul, and living with intention. I still struggle, he admitted. I still want to be in control. But I remind myself every day, I've already prayed the most important prayer. And I know God answered it, not by fixing my circumstances, but by staying beside me through them. Rebuilding with faith. Back home in Nashville, the Chrisley family is adjusting to a new chapter. Savannah has stepped into a leadership role in both the family and their media projects, while Todd has embraced a quieter, more reflective presence. Though he isn't ruling out a return to television, he insists it would be with new purpose. If we come back to TV, it won't be just about fashion or one-liners, Todd said. It'll be about truth, about faith, about showing that redemption is real. Because if I went through all of that just to go back to who I was, then it was for nothing. Fans have responded with overwhelming support. Messages of love and encouragement have flooded Savannah's podcast inbox, many from people who faced their own dark seasons. It's wild how God can use brokenness, Todd said. I never imagined that the lowest point in my life would also be the beginning of something so beautiful. The legacy he hopes to leave. When asked what he wants his legacy to be, Todd didn't hesitate. I want people to remember that I wasn't perfect, but I was honest. That I messed up, but I turned around. That I found God, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. And most of all, he wants his children to understand the power of that one simple prayer.